We have verse 16 of the 21st chapter of the Gospel of John. We're in the midst of this interesting, intriguing conversation between Jesus and Peter. Jesus has asked him the first time, "Do you love me?" Agapos was the word he used, and Peter responded with philo, "I love you." And of course, Jesus instructed him to feed, to provide grazing, you might say, for the lambs, the new converts, I suppose we would infer from that. Now we have a continuation with some subtle differences, pretty much identical to the previous verse, but we're going to notice the differences. So we have lege auto, same thing, he says to him. Pollen, indeclinable adverb, means again. Deuteron, also indeclinable adverb, also means second time, so again a second time. He says to him a second time. Jesus, of course, the one speaking here, is Simon Ionu. Same as before, it means Simon of Jonas, or Simon the son of Jonas. Agapos, me, from agapao, I love, second person singular, present active indicative. It's here in the interrogative sense, though. Agapos, do you love me? Me, the direct object. Lege, he says, auto, the indirect object. Dative, masculine, singular. He says to him, that is Peter, responds to Jesus. Nai, the word means yes. Curia, in the vocative, yes, Lord. This is all identical to the preceding verse. And then su, oidos. This is oidos, from edo to see. It means to know something, usually. The emphatic presence here of the second person nominative pronoun. So you know. Hoti, conjunction, means that. Philo, from philao, to love, with a kind of warm affection is the idea. You know that I love you. And then lege, Jesus auto says, so Jesus says to him. Now here's the only difference, really, between this verse and the previous one of any significance. Poimaine, this means to shepherd. Earlier he said to feed, as in little lambs, caring for them, providing food for them. This is a much broader word. It's based on the Greek word for shepherd, and it's the verb form of it, so it's the second person singular, and it's the present active imperative, so shepherd. The word can mean to shepherd, as in to pastor, to provide guidance to sheep. Of course, the shepherd has multiple tasks. It can also mean to rule, and sometimes that's a misunderstanding in the New Testament. You hear in Revelation 19, for example, that he will rule them with a rod of iron. It sounds rather almost violent, in that text, and yet it's the same word. He will shepherd them with a rod of iron, so it does rather change the sense of it. It's used on other occasions. It can mean to shepherd, to feed, or to rule, but the sense of those are all combined more or less in the idea of being a shepherd. So shepherd, and then ta probata. Probata is the word for a sheep. This is the accusative plural of this neuter noun, so shepherd the sheep, mu, of me. Now we've extended, of course, the scope of the responsibility. It's not just lambs, new converts, but extending to the entire community of faith. I suppose we would take it, and that Peter is being installed here, I would say, in a position of leadership. I don't think we can legitimately infer from that some sort of papal authority in which he passes keys of the kingdom down through history. It's probably a bit of a stretch from what's here, but certainly it does seem that Jesus is inserting Peter into that position of being the primary, the leader, the chair, you might say, of the discipleship board, and he's the one that's going to have these responsibilities, and it seems that this is the moment where that commissioning is most graphically being imposed and conferred upon Peter.